So yeah, working in a country where I have 43 people spread around in 6 different time zones in 4 different locations is always a challenge. But last year, you know, not just when I arrived, but also Henk, my predecessor before me, did have the challenge to, you know, to find new ways in adapting our work to the pandemic. And I think we were quick in adapting to the COVID-19 restrictions and the new working conditions. But sadly, you know, all our planned in-person events had to be postponed or cancelled. And let me give you just a few examples. There was a large-scale Dutch trade mission which was going to attend the Coalition Tech Conference in Toronto. That had to be done online. An inspiration mission to Canada, which comprised of Dutch female entrepreneurs, that had to be postponed. We had several visits, you know, from key government and policy makers from the Netherlands to The Hague, like the Dutch climate envoy. It all had to be put on ice, so to say. But I think also that the past year has provided us with some advantages regarding the way we work and collaborate with our partners around the world. And for example, that's the image that you see here. It was a virtual roadshow that took place just a couple of weeks ago, and 90 tech entrepreneurs from the Netherlands took place. They visited 20 innovation hubs, including Vancouver and Toronto. So you see the arrows here where they've all been, and of course they were received by my colleague Henk Snoeke in Vancouver, and Anne Le Guelec in Toronto, as well as Sigrid Johannessen, who is our innovation advisor, and she's based in Washington. So that explains the sort of challenge in our network. Can I have the new slide, Sandra? No, the next one. Yeah. Yep, that's the one. But we've had a few highlights as well, and let me explain the sectors that we focus on. We focus on agri-food, on water, on circular economy, life sciences and health, and innovation. And nearly all of our economic work and engagement within these sectors moved online. And of course, that enabled us to reach much more Dutch businesses. But also, and I think all of you who work online will recognize that, it also enabled us to monitor the added value of the virtual events that we organized. And for example, we collaborated with the government of Canada to organize a successful virtual creative industries trade mission to the Netherlands. And of course, it was a group of Canadians who were going to travel to the Netherlands, but we brought them together with their Dutch counterparts online. And it did bring together more than 100 Dutch and Canadian companies. And really, that is far more than would have been able to participate if it had been an in-person mission. And the image on this slide, what you see is from a panel discussion in which I took part. And next to me, you will recognize Lisa Helfens, the Canadian ambassador to the Netherlands. And next to her is the Minister of Canadian Heritage, Stephen Guilbeault. It really was a successful event. Another highlight is a collaboration between us, our network here in Canada, and RVO and OostNL. In collaboration with the Protein Industries Canada. And that also resulted in the organization of several successful virtual events, including a virtual plant protein summit. And like the Creative Industries Trade Mission, we were able to reach so many more companies and stakeholders through this summit than we would have done if we would have organized it in person. We also succeeded in advancing collaboration between Dutch and Canadian water network organizations. And that resulted in showcasing of several Dutch technologies at last year's virtual, and again virtual, Canadian Water Summit. And there it was demonstrated how these innovations could serve to address issues like flooding in Canada. Our colleagues in Toronto organized a series of webinars on various aspects of the circular economy. And that concept, and those of you who are Dutch know that we in the Netherlands really have an ambition to have our economy completely circular by 2050, I think. Well, other countries have different ambitions. But it's a concept that is relatively new to Canada, and we use these webinars to inform Canadian stakeholders on Dutch practices in several economic subsectors, such as waste management, for example, and plastics. Could I have the new slide, Sandra? So that was a bit of looking back, and now if we look forward to a new normal, I already mentioned the sectors that we focus on. So on agri-food, we want to enhance cooperation, between our two governments, industry, and knowledge institutes in areas like, you have to think about AgTech, research, food security. We have quite a reputation in Wageningen. A lot of exciting research is taking place there. And we intend to build upon the positive momentum that we generated last year in our protein collaboration with Canada. And again, organize virtual trade missions to the Netherlands with a focus on the protein sector. There really is an interest in that. Now, on water, we also want to increase cooperation and business between Dutch and Canadian water sectors in areas like flood management, green infrastructure, port management, wastewater treatment. These are all very concrete possibilities where we can foster business relations. We're going to organize a digital mission to the Netherlands this year with a focus on resilient cities. On LSH, Life Sciences and Health, we want to increase our trade and investment promotion activities in Canada and thereby work more closely with our LSH partners in the Netherlands, in order to identify where these opportunities lie. Could I have a new slide, Sandra? Yeah, and apart from the sectors that I mentioned, agri-food, water, and LSH, we also have a few what we call themes. So climate, circular economy, innovation, and women in trade. If I start with climate, we want to strengthen Dutch-Canadian dialogue and action in areas like, think about sustainable finance, climate adaptation. You are aware that we recently organized in The Hague this climate adaptation summit, which brought together world leaders. It was really great, and we can build on that. We want to do something about clean energy transition. We want to do something on citizen and youth engagement. We plan to organize several virtual events in the lead up to COP26. Including one which will demonstrate to our Canadian partners how the Netherlands applies our multi-stakeholder approach when it comes to advancing the objectives outlined in our national climate agreement. On circular economy, we want to build upon momentum generated during last year and bring together, again, partners in both countries via webinars, trade missions, including, and that makes it more concrete, 2 World Circular Economy Forums that will be held in 2021. One will be done in April in the Netherlands, and one here in Toronto, not here in Canada, in Toronto in September 21. And of course, policymakers and representatives from the business will be brought together for those 2 summits. On innovation, we will focus on strengthening bilateral cooperation, especially in artificial intelligence and clean tech. And the biggest event this year will be a trade mission we will organize to Coalition, biggest tech event in North America with over 40,000 participants, and we aim to have around 80 Dutch tech companies to participate in that mission. Last but not least, women in trade and business. Maybe I should have put it in the first place instead of the fourth place. Of course, we work with Canada, but not just with Canadian, but also other like-minded partners to seek to advance opportunities for female entrepreneurs. And of course, the COVID, the pandemic is still with us, but it is our aim to organize an inspiration mission to Canada, which is comprised of Dutch female entrepreneurs and executives in either the third or the fourth quarter of this year. We'll have to find out how it works. The mission will provide the delegates with the opportunity to engage with Canadian industry and policymakers in order to exchange views and ideas, inspiration, and to really to explore what measures are needed to overcome the barriers that female entrepreneurs face when they want to do business in Canada and the Netherlands. And yeah, then we'll come to the last slide, and then my 50 minutes is up as well. And like the slide says, of course, not just me, but my 43 other colleagues in Canada would love to continue the conversation with you. And if there's no questions now, then it's always possible to ask questions on the email address that you've just seen.